I found this strange cutlery today at an op shop. I love odd stuff like this, so I had to buy it, but I have no idea what it is. There are two pieces, both about the size of a standard teaspoon, and they're most likely stainless steel since I can't see any silver marks. Obviously, it's some type of cutlery for a very specific job, but image searches were no help at all. Does anyone know what it is?
This object is known as a food shover. In the Netherlands, it's called an eetschuyf, which literally means food shover, or schuivertje, meaning little shover. It works as a companion to the fork. Instead of using a knife to push food onto the tines, you hold this flat, blunt scraper in your other hand and slide the food onto your fork with it. Because it has no sharp edge, it was commonly given to children who were considered too young to safely handle a table knife. It's an outdated piece of cutlery now, which is why it's so hard to identify and rarely seen outside of older Dutch households.
What is this light-cast aluminium object found in a house built in the 1960s? It's been slightly turned on a lathe. It's very light, and it has a hole on top. It fits really well in the hand, but I have no idea what it actually does. Does anyone know what it is?
This object is known as the operating handle from an ideal clicker. A clicker is a small press used mainly by leather workers to stamp out shapes. The operator places a steel cutting die on the leather, then swings this handle down. The press drives the die through the material like a cookie cutter, punching out clean pieces every time. Harness makers and craftsmen use these machines to produce small parts such as fly swatter heads, drink coasters, and Christmas ornaments quickly and consistently. The aluminium handle you found is lightweight, so it can be swung repeatedly without tiring the worker.
I found this while cleaning my friend's apartment. He was in his late 70s and a Vietnam veteran. It's a metal pen-shaped device with a knurled, spring-loaded handle that can be locked back and then released, striking what looks like a cartridge primer. There was even a spent shell with it. Does anyone know what it is?
It's a Mark 31 pencil flare launcher. This compact device was standard survival gear for military aircrew and troops, and its Vietnam-era use fits your friend's background perfectly. The mechanics are simple but clever. You screw a small signal flare cartridge onto the threaded end, then pull back the knurled spring-loaded handle and lock it. When you release it, a firing pin slams forward and strikes the primer, launching the flare hundreds of feet into the air. It gave a downed pilot a lightweight way to signal rescuers. The spent shell you found is the empty casing from a fired signal round.
What is this weirdly thick pottery I found on a beach in Salem, Massachusetts? It was surrounded by lots of shards in random shapes, sizes, and colors. Does anyone know what it is?
What you found is a piece of an old terracotta pipe. In Salem, terracotta and other ceramic pipes were used for the city's sewer and water systems for centuries. These pipes work by using gravity and their smooth, fired clay interior to carry water and waste away from homes. The clay is fired at high heat, which makes the walls thick and durable enough to resist corrosion underground. Salem's infrastructure relied on these so heavily that the oldest city water pipe, dating back to the 18th century, wasn't replaced until the 1980s. Many local houses had sewer lines made from pieces exactly like the ones you found.
I recently bought a 1992 Jeep Wrangler YJ and found this strange wired device mounted crudely under the seat near the seatbelt frame. It has a red translucent side with a push button, a black housing, and wiring running into the floor area. What is it?
It's the control unit for an electric winch. The device works as a simple directional switch. One side, the red button, powers the winch to spool the cable in, while the black button on the other side sends it back out. Both buttons push in to activate the motor. On the other end of that wiring, you should find a plug with 3 pins that connects to the winch's solenoid pack. The crude mounting under the seat suggests a previous owner kept it handy for off-road recovery. If your Jeep no longer has a winch on the bumper, this is likely a leftover from a setup that was removed.
What is this metal tool I found while cleaning out a storage shed? It's about 6 inches long, magnetic, with 2 small tines at one end and a little spatula-like piece at the other. Does anyone know what it is?
What you found is a seafood pick, sometimes called a lobster or crab pick. It's a specialized eating utensil designed to get every bit of meat out of shellfish. The two-tined fork end is used to spear and pull meat from narrow spaces like crab legs or lobster claws. The small spatula or scoop on the other end helps dig meat out of tighter joints and body cavities. These tools are common at seafood restaurants and crab boils, where the shells are too hard and awkward for a regular fork. The magnetic metal is simply stainless steel, chosen because it stands up to repeated washing.
What is this weird collapsing metal stand I found at Goodwill in Colorado? The metal sheaths cover the hinges, so it can lock upright or collapse flat when the sheaths are pushed up. I have absolutely no clue what these are for. Does anyone know what it is?
It's a beer can chicken roasting rack. This clever cooking accessory is designed to hold poultry upright while it cooks in an oven or on a grill. You place an open can of beer or another liquid in the center holder, then set the whole bird down over it. The rack keeps the chicken or turkey standing vertically so heat circulates all the way around it, while the steaming liquid keeps the meat moist from the inside. The sliding metal sheaths you noticed lock the hinges in place for use, then release so the whole thing folds flat for easy storage in a drawer.
I found these in a pile of random stuff in my home office, and my husband and I are stumped. They're made of flexible, thick black rubber. One has an 8 on it, the other a 9, but they seem identical, so maybe those aren't sizes. The side says Face Saver, USA. Does anyone know what these are?
What you found are covers for golf club irons. The numbers 8 and 9 actually correspond to the specific irons they protect, the 8-iron and 9-iron. Golf sets are numbered by loft angle, and matching each cover to its club keeps everything organized. The Face Saver brand name refers to their main job, which is protecting the delicate hitting face of the club head from nicks and scratches when the clubs knock together inside a bag. Rubber covers like these help preserve the grooves that give the ball spin and control.
What is this strange wheeled cart found in the basement of a very old house? It has a separate device with a flexible circular expanding tube and a metal contraption on top that seems to attach to the side of the cart. On the opposite side are what look like exhaust fins. Nobody knows what it's for. Does anyone know what it is?
This object is known as a portable heating unit for an outdoor event tent. The flexible expanding tube is a duct that channels warm air into the tent interior, while the fins on the opposite side vent exhaust away from the enclosed space. Units like these work by burning fuel to heat air, then forcing that heated air through the duct with a blower. The wheeled cart lets crews roll the heavy unit into position near a wedding or banquet tent. These are still common today at winter outdoor events where guests need reliable warmth.
What is this brass and cast iron device with rollers? It has some dates stamped into the metal, but they're too worn to read clearly. Does anyone know what it is?
This object is known as a fluting iron, a 19th century laundry tool. During the Victorian era, fashion demanded precise, small, rounded pleats called flutes in ruffles, cuffs, and collars. Here's how it works. You heat the corrugated cast iron roller, then press starched fabric between it and the base. As the roller rotates across the material, its ridges crimp the fabric into decorative wavy patterns. It took real skill to keep the pleats even. Once clothing styles simplified in the 20th century, these tools became obsolete, which is why they're such an interesting find today.
What are these yellow things on an old military trailer found in Norway? There are 4 of them, and they look like they have hydraulic couplings connecting all of them. They can't be moved manually. Does anyone know what they are?
These are launching rails for SS-11 anti-tank missiles. The yellow components you see are part of the clamping mechanism that holds each missile securely on its rail. The missile rests along the length of the rail, and the clamping mechanism keeps it stable until launch. When fired, the missile is guided off the rail toward its target. Mounted in a set of 4 on this trailer, the system could carry multiple missiles ready to fire, which is why you see the identical rails lined up side by side.
I found this in a mystery jewelry bag. It looks like a skinny pearl cuff, but it's far too small to fit around a wrist. It seems antique. Does anyone know what it is?
What you found is a bouquet wrap, sometimes called a bouquet collar or holder. Rather than being worn on the body, this delicate beaded band was designed to wrap around the stems of a bridal bouquet. The pearls added an elegant, decorative touch to the flowers a bride carried down the aisle. These pieces were popular accessories for weddings, and because they were used briefly and then tucked away, they often end up decades later in mixed jewelry lots, exactly like the one you have.
What is this pipe in front of a building in New York City? For the past few months, it has been intermittently discharging dirty, bad-smelling water onto the sidewalk. Does anyone know what it is?
It's a fresh air inlet, part of a system called a house trap. A house trap works just like the curved pipe under your sink, except it protects an entire building. It holds a pool of water that blocks sewer gas from rising up into the living spaces. The fresh air inlet allows air to circulate through the drain system, which prevents the water in the trap from being siphoned away as the building drains. The problem here is that the dirty, smelly water means the pipe is clogged and backing up. When a blockage occurs, wastewater escapes through the lowest available opening, which in this case is the fresh air inlet itself.
A friend photographed this rustic wood and metal hand tool in a house in Palara, a small village on an island near Sicily. The metal plate reads La Sublime, but that's too generic to search for. Does anyone know what it is?
It's a bottle corker, a hand tool used to insert corks into wine or liquor bottles. In wine-producing regions like Sicily, home bottling was common, and tools like this made the job simple. Here's how it works. You place a cork into the tapered chamber, position it over the bottleneck, then push down on the lever. The mechanism compresses the cork slightly and drives it firmly into the opening, creating a tight seal. The name La Sublime is simply the manufacturer's brand. Tools like this were a fixture in rural Italian households where families produced their own wine.
I found these 4 identical solid iron objects loose in a narrow cavity where the basement ceiling meets the wall. My house was built in 1914 here in New Jersey. Each one is about 12 inches long, tapered to a square, narrow end, and the wide ends look mushroomed from repeated hammer strikes. They're very heavy for their size, with no markings. What are they?
These are ironworkers' bullpins. They're a classic tool used in structural steel construction to align 2 pieces of steel so the bolt holes line up perfectly. The worker drives the tapered end through the holes of 2 overlapping steel plates or beams. As the pin wedges in, it forces the members into alignment, allowing bolts to be dropped through the remaining holes. The mushroomed wide ends you see are the result of years of being struck with a spud wrench or hammer. The fact that you found 4 of them together suggests an ironworker once lived or worked in that 1914 house.
What is this rust-colored canister decorated with dog heads? It's about 7 inches tall and made of bronze-colored metal. When you unscrew the ball on top and open the lid, you find some kind of mechanism inside, and the bottom is covered in lots of small holes. What is this thing?
What you found is a pipe tobacco humidor. The purpose of this container is to keep loose pipe tobacco from drying out. Here's how it works. You place a damp sponge into the section at the top, and the moisture from that sponge slowly releases into the chamber below. The holes in the bottom help circulate that humidity evenly through the tobacco, keeping it fresh and pliable. The mechanism you see inside is the housing that holds the sponge in place. The dog head decorations are simply a stylistic touch, popular for smoking accessories aimed at hunters and outdoorsmen.
Which of these items surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments. For more unknown items, check out the other videos on our channel. Hit like and subscribe.